Hey guys, today I want to talk more about this Age of Pisces and Age of Aquarius transition, and I want to go back and just do a quick review on the last video I did about MH370. I missed a few things here, but it's significant to what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be showing you guys some annular solar eclipses and how that relates to some upcoming events. But the MH370, what I covered in the last video, is on the 7-year anniversary of the disappearance of MH370. The planet Mars passed through the Golden Gate of the ecliptic, which is the line from the Pleiades and Hyades star clusters in the Taurus constellation. And what makes this kind of significant here with the 7 years, it has to do with presumption of death. And in India, a person missing for 7 years can be presumed dead or declared dead. But what was interesting here, when we look at this presumption of death page on Wikipedia, the first person they have here under the notable cases is Henry Hudson. And of course, Henry Hudson is the person that Hudson Bay is named after. And I've been covering Hudson Bay for a couple years now. The next 9/11 event is going to involve Hudson Bay. If you remember the events of 9/11 2001, they occurred on the mouth of the Hudson River. The Bay Area of New York there has Sandy Hook Bay. All kind of connections there with Hudson Bay and 9/11. But Hudson Bay here has the symbolic Golden Gate or Arctic Bridge that passes through it. And that's where, coming up here on June 10th, we're going to have an annular solar eclipse pass over Hudson Bay. So we'll be talking a lot about that. But just wanted to make a note here that presumption of death Wikipedia page, first guy listed here, Henry Hudson, left adrift after a mutiny in 1611. Of course, the 1611 King James Bible that came out on May 2nd, 1611. I'll be showing you guys how this all connects to the Wormwood event. That's what my channel is all about, the Wormwood event from Revelation 8:11. So we'll show you how all that connects here. This is the overall encompassing event that all these other smaller events and stuff connect to here. But today I want to show you the date of 1/14/2022. This is winter 2022. In the next few videos here, I'm going to be covering fall, winter, and spring 2021 and 2022. Of course, fall, the season of harvest; winter, the season of death; and spring, the season of rebirth. I think this is when we're going to have our official transition into the Age of Aquarius, with a series of big events. But for now, I just want to show you all the connections to this date of January 14th, 2022. And that's equivalent to the date of 6/10/1443 on the Islamic calendar. The Islamic calendar is a moon-based calendar, and 610 is the 15th Fibonacci number. Fibonacci number is, of course, related to the golden ratio, and January 14th, 2022 has this numerology of 57. Moon sums to 57 in the ordinal cipher. It's the moon that occults the sun during an eclipse. In Hebrew gematria, moon sums to 218. And this January 14th, 2022 just happens to be 218 days after the annular eclipse over Hudson Bay. June 10th, 2021, 57 numerology, date numerology, and also January 14th, 2022, has this 57 date numerology. 57 plus 57 is 114. So we have our connection here with the moon-based calendar and the two 610s here. 114 is a significant number. Has this prime factorization of 2 times 3 times 19, the 2319, which I've covered over and over again. Very significant to this puzzle. I'll be covering the 2319 again with Kobe Bryant and some other events here. But 1/14/2022, 218 days after the annular eclipse. All these moon connections here. Now just a couple days after 1/14/2022, we have the full moon on January 17th. And this is all in lunation 1225. Of course, 1225 is associated with Christmas. Lunation 1225 begins on January 2nd, 2022, and that would be Millennium Lunation 272. I've covered the 272 before, but this is Millennium Lunation 272 or Brown Lunation 1225. But this is what we're going to be concentrating on here, and then we're going to move to 1226 when we enter the Tiger year on February 1st, 2022, and then into the 274 Millennium Lunation here in March and April. I'll show you some dates there later, but starting on 1225, very significant number. Of course, it's related to Christmas. But we have a full moon on January 17th, 2022, and the connection here that I want to show you guys connected to what would be the age of Aquarius, the air age, the airplane rituals. The new Air Force One 747s, they left California to be modified in Texas on March 27th, 2019. California is the 31st of 50 states, and that encodes the closest approximation of the golden ratio, the 50 divided by 31. And Cali, of course, is named after the goddess Kali, and they flew to Texas, the Lone Star State, and it's the five-pointed star, the pentagram. The intersecting lines encode the golden ratio on a pentagram. But from the flight of these two new Air Force One planes to January 17th full moon is 33 months, 21 days. 3321 is the magic square of the moon. And this 117 connects to Wormwood as well. I'm covering some of these numbers, but 117 is 3 times 3 times 13. Covered this 3313. We'll cover it some more here. The 24th star number. But the origin of the 3313, it's 33 verses from Revelation 6:12, which talks about the great earthquake, and this encodes the solar and lunar eclipse. The sun becomes black, the moon becomes blood. We move 33 verses past Revelation 6:12 to get to Revelation 8:11. And then 13 more verses to get to 9:11, the angel of the abyss. 6:12, which mentions our eclipses, is the 108th verse of Revelation. It's the 108 ratio between the earth, moon, and sun that we're told is the mechanics for the solar and lunar eclipses. So the 108, a very significant number. No coincidence that the earthquake and the two references to the two types of eclipses are the 108th verse in Revelation. But there's our 3321 from Air Force One, the new Air Force Ones, to this full moon. With our moon connection here. 117, 3 times 3 times 13. Back to this 2319, I've shown Monsters Incorporated before. They're kind of famous for this 2319 emergency that they have. but it was released on November 2nd, 2001. And if you go to this January 14th date, it's 1,054 weeks. And 1,054 is a significant number to the United States nuclear tests. There have been 1,054 U.S. nuclear tests. And 114 prime factorization 2 times 3 times 19. Back in the last video I did about the MH370, that airplane was a Boeing 777. It was the 404th plane, and there are 404 total verses in Revelation. MH370 was the 404th 777 produced. And then on February 20th, 2021, we had Flight 328 lose its engine over Denver. And if we had 328 days to Flight 328, that gets us to January 14th, 2022 as well. And if you kind of notice here, 328 is the mirror image of 823. And that was the birth of Kobe Bryant. And I'll show you how he kind of comes into this mix here. Another Air Force One and Wormwood ritual here. I showed you guys the color blue here before. This 466 nanometer wavelength color blue is the same color used on Air Force One. And the 466th prime number is 3313. But we add 811 to 466, it sums at 1277. And January 14th, 2022 is 1,277 weeks after the release of the movie Air Force One, starring Harrison Ford. Remember, the root word of Harris or Harrison is make war or lay waste. And we have Kamala Harris. She's the current vice president. Kamala Harris was chosen as the vice presidential running mate on 8/11/2020. Another 8/11 connection there. And since I'm talking about the annular eclipses that were over Hudson Bay, we have the other annular eclipse, of course, over the border of China and India on 6/21/2020. We had the annular solar eclipse. Showed you guys that in this video. iPetGoat2 encodes the annular solar eclipse of June 21st, 2020. Mount Kalash, the Mountain Men. The lost nuke, Nanda Devi, the lost CIA nuke. The largest mid-air collision, the deadliest mid-air collision of commercial airliners right in this border of India and China. Osama bin Laden death, same area here, all this very encoded area, the border between India and China. But the day after Kamala Harris became the vice presidential candidate, she talks about her roots of India, her Indian roots and Asian roots. Kashmir, this is on the border of India and China. Chosen on 8/11, Kamala Harris, the etymology of make war or lay waste. Another Kamala Harris submarine ritual here with Joe Biden and the airplane, kind of encompassing the airplane and the submarine here. On 10/20/2018, Joe Biden's wife, Jill Biden, christened the SSN 791, the nuclear submarine, the Delaware. And that was on Kamala Harris's birthday, 10/20/2018. She was born on October 20th. But that date was 2,108 days before Joe Biden's first flight as president. He flew to Delaware on February 5th, 2021. Now, he wasn't on Air Force One. He was on his own 757. Boeing 757, but any plane that carries the president is called Air Force One. But from the date that he took his first flight as president to January 14th, 2022, 343 days. Prime factorization there is the 777s. 2108 days before that was the christening of the Delaware submarine. So we have our age of Aquarius, our water and our air. Air versus water age here. 2108, 218 is the moon, encodes the moon again. Delaware, the first state. More Joe Biden wormwood connections here. Aquarius airplane connections. We had that 328 incident on February 20th, 2021. And we're going to look at this with Joe Biden. But first, we're going to take a look at his birthday on November 20th, 1942. To the end of World War II. That was 33 months, 13 days. Back to our 3313 here that surrounds Revelation 8:11. And then if we go from Joe Biden's birth to the 328, losing its engine on February 20th, it was 939 months. And then if we go from the first flight of a Boeing 777 to the day the Boeing 777 lost its engine over Denver here, it was 9,390 days. So we have two 939s here. And both of those 939s are related to the 3313. 939 is 3 times 313. All here, all about the Wormwood event, 612, 811, 911. Now what's interesting here, there's a connection with the moon and Joe Biden and Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant. We had Joe Biden born on 11/20/1942. Kobe Bryant was born on August 23rd, 1978. And the total span between these dates is 13,061 days. 218th prime is 1361. Without the zero, we have the 1361, a moon-related number. But if we go from August 23rd, 1978, when Kobe was born, to the events of 9/11/2001, it was 23 years, 19 days. And then if we go from Kobe Bryant's death on January 26th, 2020, to this 1/14/2022 date, it's 23 months, 19 days, another 23/19. And this January 14th date falls into lunation 12/25. And if we go from the helicopter crash on January 6, 2020 with Kobe to the Flight 328 losing its engine, it's 12 months, 25 days. Something interesting about Wormwood. Wormwood sums to 126. Kobe died on 126. Let me show you kind of a cool thing here also with the 218. If we go to what would be Kobe Bryant's 44th birthday on 8/23/2022. We take back a look at this date on the full moon of 1/17/2022. It's 218 days. Back to the gematria, ordinal Hebrew gematria of moon. So 218 days after the full moon is Kobe Bryant's 44th birthday. So we take a look at 9/11 here. On February 27th, 2021, that was 7,109 days after 9/11, and that's the 911th prime number. Two 2021 full moon. And that was 7,109 days after 9/11, the 911th prime. But if we go from that date to this January 14th date, it's 10 months, 18 days. Now this is a really significant number that Bobby has been working on and pointing out to me for quite a while now. But Luke 10:18, which I think is the reference here for this 10:18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. That's Luke 10:18. So I think that's where we're seeing all these 10:18s. And we're moving into an air age. And Satan is the prince of the power of the air. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. I'll show you some more 10:18s here that have to do with the Curiosity and Perseverance rover here, especially the Perseverance Mars rover. But if we go back and look at the Curiosity rover, which I've done work on before, from the launch to the landing on Mars was 8 months, 11 days for the Curiosity rover. And then for the Perseverance rover, launch on July 30th, 2020, landed 2/18/2021. That's another moon reference. And that was 6 months, 19 days. 6/19, the 114th prime, the date we're looking at here. And thank Bobby Simpson for the work on this slide here, but he looked up the only reference in the Bible to the word perseverance. It was in Ephesians 6:18. And 6:18, of course, is the number for the golden ratio. 618 minutes is the time of 10:18. And this Perseverance rover landed 10,018 lunar months after Orson Welles performed The War of the Worlds on October 30th, 1938. And it was 10 months and 18 days after the Mars-Saturn conjunction on 3/31/2020. That was a huge, ton of things lined up for this Mars-Saturn conjunction. It's connected to World War I and World War II. World War I was 666 days after a Mars-Saturn conjunction. 666, of course, the number of a man from Revelation 13:18. Artemisia absinthium is wormwood, or Artemis. Can be referenced a reference to the wormwood, the bitter herb wormwood is Artemis. And the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus is World Heritage Site 1018. Mars, we're talking about the Mars rovers here. The maximum synodic period for Mars is 811 days. Back to our reference to wormwood. So if we go back and look at 9/11, the Twin Towers, and how they were a ritual to Neptune, and I'll show you in a second here why Neptune's important. I've covered Neptune in several past videos here, but the outer steel structure, the outer steel facade of the Twin Towers had the trident shape here. And of course, Neptune, the symbol of Neptune is the trident. And Neptune is the blue planet. The blue planet with the Neptune, or the trident symbol. And we have the two blue beams as a tribute to the Twin Towers. and that's referencing Project Bluebeam. I've covered this before, but the fake alien invasion. The conspiracy for the fake alien invasion is called Project Bluebeam, which I think is a reference to Neptune, the blue planet. Another movie that encodes Neptune here that I'm going to cover more on in the future here. I'm going to do a whole separate video on Neptune and the numbers that surround Neptune. Neptune is one of the two ice giants. Uranus and Neptune are the ice giants. But Back to the Future, we have Marty here. Marty is a root word of Mar, which is god of war Mars. But the enchantment under the sea, Neptune is the god of the sea. Marty's singing at the Neptune dance. Then the Neptune is also the crown or kether on the top of the tree of life. And we have Earth at the bottom and Neptune at the top of the tree of life here. You can see the lightning passing through the tree of life from the Earth to the heaven here. But if we look at the movie Back to the Future, which is all about Neptune, the crown, the lightning strike on the clock tower happens at 10:04 p.m. I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. 10:04 plus 10:18 is 2022. The clock tower itself is a model of the tree of life. We have Neptune at the top, Earth here, the Earth at the bottom, the ground. The windows here are the different planets represented on the tree of life here. But I'll get more into this later with the numbers of Neptune and a little bit more on Back to the Future. Another number here I want to show you guys with this 114 and 619 connection with India and China. On May 5th, 2020, Chinese and Indian troops engaged in aggressive melee face-offs and skirmishes on the Sino-Indian border. So this Chinese-Indian border is a contested area between India and China, but if we look at this date of 5/5/2020, to this 1/14/2022 date, it's 619 days, 114th prime on 114. Some other stuff I want to show you quick here with Neptune. I showed you guys this before, but back on January 6th, 2009, George Bush dedicated 3 national monuments in the Pacific Ocean on 1/6/2009. If we go to 3/24/2022, you can see that's 13 years, 77 days. Our ordinal value of Revelation 8:11 is 1377. But while we're looking at 3/24, another name for Neptune is Metatron. And if we look at that in the Abjad or Arabic gematria, Metatron is equivalent to Neptune. So Metatron in the Abjad sums to 3/24. I'll be covering this later. This would be spring. This would be the first few days of spring 2022. But fall, winter, and spring of 21 and 22. But there's our 1377 connection again with Neptune. I've showed you the 3313 with the movement of Neptune in the sky before. One more 1377 I want to show you. 4/26/1986. That was the Chernobyl event. Chernobyl means wormwood. I've gone into detail on that. But if we go to 2/13/2022, so the Chernobyl or wormwood event April 26, 1986 to 2/13/2022, 13,077 days. And 2/13/2022 just happens to be Super Bowl 56. And I'll be doing more on Super Bowl 56, Neptune. I'm still waiting to do my Super Bowl 55 stuff. I have some really good stuff there. There's a reason I'm waiting. Hopefully I'll be able to show you what's going on with that in about a month here. But there's this very specific reason I'm waiting to show you guys that Super Bowl 55 video. Remember, Super Bowl 55 was all about the aliens. And by aliens, I mean the nationality reference. Not space aliens, but alien in reference to nationality. Then we have Project Bluebeam, which is about the fake alien invasion. There's a connection there, but I'll show you how that works when I finally get a chance to hopefully show you in about a month here with Super Bowl 55. But Super Bowl 56 is 13,077 days after the Wormwood event, Chernobyl. And what's kind of interesting here with another alien connection is part of the coronavirus relief package was that on June 1st, 2021, we're supposed to have UFO disclosure from the government, but that's a day that leaves 213 days in the year. And 2/13 is the Super Bowl, 13,077 days after Chernobyl. 257 is the 55th prime number. The 55 or the SS, we talked about before, the SS is 1919, Revelation 1919. Significant to what would be called an alien invasion, if you want to reference that or call it that. The kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse. Neptune is the god of horses as well. But 55 can be an SS, which is a reference to Revelation 19:19. Neptune is the god of horses. A lot of stuff with Neptune here. So I believe what's happening here is the age of Aquarius. They want to manufacture events to officially take us into the age of Aquarius. The physical events. It's the spiritual connection versus the physical connection. Heaven versus earth. Revelation is actually about the combining of heaven and earth. So just a lot of interesting symbolism here with Neptune and all this alien, the two types of alien references here. Remember, the United States was founded 8 months and 11 days after the Revelation 12 sign, which was based on the Venus pentagrams, which encodes the golden ratio. So many connections here. So okay, guys, I'll cover more on the Super Bowl 55 and 56, more on Neptune, and then hopefully I'll get those out as soon as I can. Going as fast as I can, and I have just a lot of stuff that hasn't gotten put out yet, but just going at the pace I can here with what I have to work with. So, okay, guys, thanks for watching.